Each month, myself and other Irrational Passions members will play through a new game. Modern to retro, obscure to popular. Games we've played before and those we haven't. We'll be hitting checkpoints as we go and discussing our experiences. Play along with us and join in the discussion. This is Video Game Book Club. Welcome, everybody, to Video Game Book Club. We are starting our second game, and for the month of October, we are moving on from The Dark Knight in no better way than taking on creepy space mutant babies with Dead Space 2 from the now defunct Visceral Studios. This month, I am joined by my fellow podcast ultimate brothers, making his debut on Video Game Book Club, Mr. Mike Burgess.
I was trying to like make like the Smash logo.
Oh, I got you.
That's what I was trying to do, but
I thought you were
making a cross. Yeah, like where are the demons
Fat
at? You played too much
hands coming
Castlevania the other night.
Yes. I was slaying some demons, slaying some necromorphs.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Good to have you.
Club.
Good to have you, sir. And returning once more because he's a damn fine human being, Mr. Alex O'Neill.
It's me.
Okay, now I actually am putting up the cross.
All right, yeah, earned, very well earned. Yeah, I'm here to talk about spoopy games and how spoopy they are.
But yes, we are moving on to Dead Space 2. But just like we did for Arkham Asylum, because we don't have anything to recap from the previous week, we're going to take a look back in the Video Game Book Club time machine and just what was going on in 2011 when Dead Space 2 was released.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the game was released back on January 25th of 2011, bringing in the new year with spoopy horrors from across the galaxy.
Yeah, this was a January game.
Yeah, that's
early.
Kind of surprising.
They started off strong. But 2011 was home to a lot of strong games. We had Uncharted 3 made its debut in 2011. The end to the initial trilogy of Nathan Drake. Did you guys play that a lot?
Uncharted 3 was the one I played and I didn't like at the time. So I've since gone back on it, but when I first played it, I was like not super into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I played it through like the one time right around when it came out and not gone back.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I still have to beat Uncharted 2, so I haven't really touched Uncharted 3. I certainly didn't touch it in 2011.
When you get to 4, it'll all be worth it, Scott. I promise.
Yeah, I have 4, and I've played maybe 2 hours of 4, but then I was like, why am I playing this? I haven't finished 2, and I haven't played 3. So, one game I do know that you, Mr. Alex, have played, Dark Souls.
Yes.
Came out in 2011, the first one.
It's funny, because Dark Souls, it's weird because this was out in the time of Irrational Passions in existence, because that's how old we are. So I'm like trying to find out, like, was Dead Space 2 on my top 10 games from that year? Like, I'm trying to find where my list is, but I didn't end up playing Dark Souls.
Find out.
Yeah, I think it was on there. I didn't end up playing Dark Souls 1 until the February of the following year, which is when I like streamed it on Twitch when Twitch like just started. So I have like a weird association with that game. But obviously, legendary legacy.
Oh, so good. And now we've had 3 enhanced remakes ports of it.
Probably.
Because we had the DLC, and then we had like the collector's DLC that put them together. And then, no, I guess and then the new remastered version. So maybe just 3 versions.
I think I don't know if you can qualify the Switch as like a superior version also.
Well, the PS4 and Xbox One, I wasn't necessarily referring to just the Switch version. Yeah. But Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword came out for the Wii and showed us just how cool dousing for items could do.
Oh my god, dousing.
Oh, yeah.
That was my game of the year that year.
Oh wow! Were you smoking something?
I think so. My opinion on it has changed a lot since.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say that's the only 3D Zelda I've not played.
Yeah,
or pretty much. Or really, it's like the only like Zelda I haven't played.
I would say it's worth a play, man.
I would. It was just that thing of like, I think by the time it came out, I was in the crowd of like, I'm done with the Wii. F motion controls. They're for losers.
Hell yeah.
They're for babies. So I just I don't know, that was still that time for me, I guess. So I just never went to it, and they just haven't put it out again. If they ended up putting it out again in some form, I would probably be like, okay, I'll sit down and play this.
The lore I really like about Skyward Sword, but I was not a fan of the controls. So if they did do an HD port to the Switch with traditional Zelda controls, I'd be all over it.
I just don't think they could. I think that game is built around those controls that it's just not going to happen.
They could maybe tie it to the joystick though.
Maybe I would. It might hurt the game and even more.
Yeah. Because I know there's so specific sword movements you have to make with the. You have to swipe horizontally or vertically. I remember seeing gameplay like that and stuff.
I just love
just be weird.
A Skyward Sword director's cut, something that a recut of that game that took out a lot of the bullshit in it, a lot of the dousing.
Right.
It could be so good. I've often thought about what I would take out of that game to make it better.
Yeah.
Totally.
Portal 2 though came out and was fucking fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, great game.
Great game.
I shat all over that game until I played it. I'm like, fuck, this is so good. I was there was
co-op game too.
Oh yeah,
2-player game.
Super fun. But yeah, that came out the same day as Mortal Kombat. Also, the Mortal Kombat reboot.
Oh man, also a really good game.
Yes.
We got our first version of Skyrim released. Little did we know we would never be rid of Skyrim.
Yeah, the franchise known as Skyrim and nothing else.
Yeah,
exactly.
Skyrim that has literally become a living, breathing thing at this point. That was
its own meme.
That was the IP game of the year for 2011.
Yeah. Gears of War 3 came out, so that was cool.
We finished the fight.
Yeah, you remember? You remember? That was Halo also.
I know.
Take the fight to them. Was that?
Master Chief finished the fight in Gears of War 3.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember that there was I'm forgetting the name, Locust enemy? That's the name of the bad guys in that game.
Yep.
That had a staff with 2 chainsaws on the end of it.
Hell yeah, dude.
That was the boss. Was that Gears 3?
It's Gears 2, I believe.
Okay, that was Gears 2. Okay. I don't know, that would jog my memory of why that was in Gears 3 for some reason. I thought that was in 3.
I think he might also show up in Gears 3. Now that I'm thinking about it.
You're right. That was Gears got fucking buck wild.
Remember he fought this giant bug at the end? It's
a giant worm. Anya. Yeah, I remember that.
It's weird because Dead Space 2, we'll get to it a little bit later, but it certainly feels like a game of the same era of Gears of War 3.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so weird because I remember Dead Space 2 very differently from actually playing it.
Yeah.
Deus Ex Human Revolution rebooted the Deus Ex franchise, and people loved it. Great game. Absolutely love that game.
Quentin Hoffman
Cool.
shaking his fist in the air about immersive sims somewhere.
Yelling about immersive sims, a fake genre.
A real genre, a fake name for that.
Yeah,
movie, certainly.
That's a better way to say it.
I remember with Deus Ex, I had picked up Darksiders 1 at Best Buy because I really wanted to play it. I put it in my PlayStation and it yellow lighted and it died. My launch PlayStation 3. And I saved up, and when Deus Ex Human Revolution came out, I went to the GameStop up at my college that I always hit, and I picked up my PlayStation 3 Slim and Deus Ex Human Revolution.
That was the day you converted?
That was the day I had to. It was I really want Deus Ex, and I'm going to play it. So
it's a cool game.
And it's still right here next to me, all plugged into my home console.
I would say the Deus Ex 3 that we've always wanted is called Cyberpunk 2077. I'm very excited for all of
it's
you.
going to be so good.
Looks good.
I'm pumped.
Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, and it was Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Some people loved it, some people hated it. It was Marvel.
Do you guys?
I was gonna say I had a way more of a attachment and affinity for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I played that a lot more just because at the time there was when me and my friends used to be mall rats more or less, and the movie theater in our mall had a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet in it.
Ooh,
so sometimes we would just go there, not even to see movies or anything. We would just play Marvel vs. Capcom in the movie theater.
I was
fun.
I was just getting into fighting games at that time, so like I liked Super Street Fighter 4 was the first version of that game I got, so I was excited about MVC3. I thought there's like an X Factor mechanic or whatever in that game that I think ruins that whole game. In my
Dark
personal
Phoenix.
opinion. Yeah, and Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix with X Factor.
Do you guys have a team from that game?
I was Ryu was my main because I've always loved Ryu. I'm trying to remember who was in the original roster and not in Ultimate.
Ultimate added like, and I know it had like Virgil and Nemesis.
Nemesis and
Nemesis.
Phoenix Wright.
Strider was in the original game because he was in 2 also.
Yeah. Dante was cool. I like Dante.
Yeah.
And I think Spider-Man. I think that was my 3.
I was Amaterasu, Beautiful Joe, and Zero. Those are my guys.
Oh, right. Zero was on my team because I was just like,
I thought Zero was just cool.
Yeah. I used I didn't play a lot of 3, but I used Amaterasu, Super Scroll, and I think I just kind of swapped between the last character. Like
rotating third chair.
Like sometimes I would use like what's his name, the Firehead guy, Dormammu.
Dormammu was solid.
Yeah, Dormammu, I liked him. I think I might just use those 3 most of the time. I think sometimes I'd use like Captain America or Wolverine and stuff too, just because I like them in Marvel's Capcom 2 a bunch.
Amaterasu was cool because I liked her whip weapon. I like just firing the balls at people and whipping them. Those were pretty. That was good keep away. The Binding of Isaac came out.
Whoa!
And started that whole big thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Man.
Yeah, because Spelunky HD would come out, I think in 2012. So I think the Binding of Isaac was like the first really big roguelike, especially like Twitch came around about toward the end of this year. That's when like streaming roguelikes got so big.
Yeah,
I think it also brought back like the pixel art, or it was like the first big kind of indie pixel art game too.
At least for a while.
I can't think of another big one that kind of predated Binding of Isaac, but that shit took off. Like that was huge, and now we're getting a card game.
Yep.
There's
the 2018
expansions, and
you get a card game. It's 2018.
It's on Switch though, so Binding of Isaac's all right.
Yeah. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 came out, ending the Modern Warfare trilogy. That was really cool.
The first Call of Duty game I didn't buy.
Yeah. It was disappointing. I returned it.
It's a bummer, yeah.
I played through the story in like a couple days and was like, this is okay, I'm kind of done.
We had a meme on our podcast that was just yelling out that they killed Soap. Spoilers.
Oh, they did.
But I think it's still really funny.
Right, yeah. That still ticks me off.
I had a large gap in Call of Duty games. Like I played 4, the original Modern Warfare, and literally didn't play any Call of Duty until what was like the cool sci-fi one that I think
Advanced
I was the only one
Warfare.
who liked. No, it wasn't even that. It was Infinite Warfare, like the one
Infinite
where
Warfare, okay.
or like where you're like doing dogfighting with spaceships and stuff. That was like the thing that's how like disconnected I am from Call of Duty, where I think like everyone was like, that one's like the worst one. It's like so unrealistic. And as soon as I saw them like fighting in the middle of space and like rotating themselves in space, I was like, I'm in. Sign me up.
The next Call of Duty game comes out the Friday of the week we're recording this, and I don't think anyone like really knows or cares. So it's.
Well, you were excited for Black Ops 4 with the whole Battle Royale thing.
I was, and I definitely like just waned away with time. Like the interest in that game just like faded from me like a ghost, like Call of Duty Ghosts.
There it is.
Yeah, that wasn't a good one either.
Yep.
From what I remember, Batman Arkham City, sequel to the game we just completed on Video Game Book Club, came out.
That's cool.
Yeah, nice. I didn't realize that until I made this list up, and it's like, nice.
Arkham City, maybe the best of the Arkham games.
Agreed.
100%. And now we have no one here to yell at us for saying that, Scott.
Yeah, it's like I probably have played Arkham City since probably like 2011 or 2012, so I can't really be like, no.
I remember
I barely remember it.
And the biggest game to come out in 2011 was, of course, Green Lantern: Rise of the Manhunters, based on the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. Hands down, bar none, the best.
Shall we move on?
Yes. And that's all I have to say about
2011.
Real quick, do you guys want to? I found my top 10 games from 2011. Do you want to hear it from the top?
Yeah, let's do it.
Dead Space 2 is not on this list, which is fucked up. I'm gonna let you guys know.
It's not related to this book club, so it's gone. Throw it in the trash.
But 2011, number 10, Mortal Kombat. Number 9 was Gears 3. Number 8 was Infamous 2, which is also a very good game.
Mm-hmm. Good game.
Number 7 was Catherine, which I forgot that came out in 2011 as well.
That was a good one.
Number 6 was Bastion, another great 2011 highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Number 5 was Dark Souls. Number 4 was Portal 2. Number 3 was Batman Arkham City. Number 2 was Skyrim. And number 1 was Skyward Sword. I don't know what I was thinking. I would arrange that list very differently and also put Dead Space on it if I could go back and change it. Yeah.
And just a quick news wrap up: the Nintendo 3DS was released worldwide. Yeah,
Got that
and that's
Street
still-
Fighter 4 edition on there.
Get that cheap ass.
That's still going, and the Ghost Recon actually pretty good tactical RPG that was on there. PlayStation Vita was released in Japan, and a whole lot of bad guys died, with Bin Laden, Kim Jong Il, and Muammar Gaddafi all
died
passed
that
away
year? Whoa.
Yeah,
Wow.
2011
the US
was a
wasn't
busy
having
year.
it.
The Vita has that kind of power.
Don't doubt the Vita.
Once the Vita came out, it was all downhill. Everyone was just dying left and right, and
Yep.
the Vita went down with them.
Yeah.
It took it with them.
Murder,
It stole
suicide.
their life force.
Yeah, it just took
Vita
everything.
does mean life, so
It's true. But us, along with our viewers, are all here to talk Dead Space 2. So let's get cracking right with Dead Space 2. Now, for starters, I have never played a Dead Space game. So this was my very first introduction to the series itself. So you guys played it before, correct?
Mm-hmm. I had played one.
Yep. Yeah, I played both games. Probably in 2011 when 2 came out. Probably.
My co-host on Irrational Passions, Scott Guthier, he we have a funny joke of like Scott takes you into his basement and turns off all the lights and then makes you play Dead Space, which is exactly what he did to me. And it scared the shit out of me because it was kind of like before I was into more horror-ish games.
Mm-hmm.
But like
Right.
I thought the mystery was so compelling and that world is so compelling that I ended up going and playing it.
So we are woken up by a phone call. And for me, I didn't know what was going on till a little bit later, but you get woken up by your dead girlfriend, Nicole, that was on the ship from the first game, the Ishimura, was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you guys want to give a brief recap of Nicole from the first game?
Oh, I'm curious, Scott, because I forgot until I booted up the game again. Did you watch the previously on Dead Space that's in the game?
I did not.
Oh, because I remember watching that. It's like a summary of the first game that I think is pretty good. It's like less than 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah. I was thinking about it, but then I thought it would make better. It would be more interesting if I'm coming at it knowing absolutely nothing from the first one and trying to piece together things.
It might be worth going and watching maybe before the last checkpoint or before we close out, because I'd just be curious what you would think of it.
Yeah. But yeah, we get woken up and we end up in like a straitjacket, and we're being interrogated by this asshole, and things are not looking good for Mr. Isaac.
I'm trying to
Pretty nasty.
trying to figure out where my notes come in. I did write down at one point, Mike, this game really does start at an 11.
Yeah, that's literally my first line of like, this game starts at an 11. Damn. That's literally my first note in my Dead Space 2 book club.
Because I forgot.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I forgot about all the like the guy like leaning right into your face, and then like the fucking thing ripping through his forehead.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
I was somewhat related. I was listening. This was I think it was a Game Informer podcast I was listening to. It was like a couple weeks ago, and they were interviewing like this guy on the show, and he was actually the dude. He is like moved to a different company like now, but they were talking to him, and it was the dude who did the mocap for that guy, like the guy that's like has his head horribly grotesquely ripped apart.
Oh, no.
And they were saying that they were saying like he was just like at the time he was just like some like not necessarily like an intern, but like I think he was just like some kind of like PR person at EA at the time, and they used him just because of like the mocap and like the facial stuff. Like technology they had at the time, his was like the best shape. He had like the best shaped head for that like horrible, like grotesque, like ripping apart body animation.
Hell yeah,
that happens to him. Like so, like that's why he got used in that game. It was funny because there's just like a random anecdote during this game. He was just like interviewing on like a normal thing. He's like, "Oh, by the way, weren't you the guy that got mocapped and horribly murdered at the first Dead Space?" And he's like, yeah, that's a deep cut that you just figured out, but." It was an interesting thing.
I'll say like to kind of summarize like Nicole for you, Scott, and like what they were jumping into. I don't remember exactly how they did it. It's one of two ways, but basically Isaac receives a video message from Nicole on the ship, and he goes to rescue her. And then at the end, it's revealed that either the end she's like sending the message, you like see what she was doing, and right at the end of the message, she like kills herself with an injection and dies. And either Isaac saw the entire video from the beginning and somewhere in his head knew she was dead the whole time, but like the marker was suppressing that memory, or he finds out on the ship that she killed herself and it was in the video, but it got cut off. It's one of those two. I don't remember. Yeah, it's basically like she sends this video message, but at the end of the video message, she injects herself.
Yeah, because that's like the whole. As we'll get more and more into events of these first 5 chapters, that was like a big thing that was going back and forth. And the original Dead Space was like basically he's like as he's searching this ship for her more and more, he's like also like losing his sanity because of like the marker and all this other stuff.
Yeah, he sees her moving around the ship and instructing him to do things, but it ends up she was never there.
Yeah.
Ooh, creepy.
Yeah, it's cool, and like that's like the big twist at the end of the first Dead Space. Is that the markers affected you too? So I like that they. I mean, I'll say this: the whole opening of this game is at an 11, and I think they do it smart because they literally throw all of your tools from the first Dead Space at you as fast as humanly possible in the first chapter, and they like tutorialize each part of it, and like here, like right from the get-go, here's this like creature that can make more necromorphs. Here is how you run. Here is what your health looks like. Here's stasis. Here's kinesis. Here's everything. And like then by the second chapter, you're like right where you were at the end of Dead Space 1, and it picks up from there very quickly and initiating new players. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I liked how you were in your straitjacket for like a good few minutes, like 15, 20 minutes after you had been rescued by the dude that got skewered and everything. How you had to like avoid and run away from all these necromorphs, because at the beginning of the game the necromorphs are taking over this lab that's on Titan, right? It's
Titan Station.
It's like a hospital on the station or something like that, or like some kind of a sane mental hospital or something like that.
And things are just going crazy, and there's necromorphs everywhere, and you can die. Like I got very close to death. Yeah, I got very close to death. I didn't actually die, but running from everything, and it's like, holy crap, I'm in a straitjacket. And then you get to those areas where you see the other patient getting interrogated by Haas or whatever, that one dude. And then you encounter him in the next room, and he you think he's gonna stab and kill you because of the shit that's gone down, but he frees you from the straitjacket before he slits his throat, like right in front of you. It's like, oh, okay, we're jumping straight in, like you guys were saying.
It's stuff like that because like it's, you know, my last note here, and we'll kind of double down on it once we get to like the first big twist in these first 5 chapters. But like all of like the very serious villainous things are like very corny to me now. I don't know how it played to the rest of you guys, but it's like, especially that scene later. Oh man. But like it's like this very it reminds me of like horror movies of the time, like trying to be very shock and awe, but it's one through the lens of like, you know, this game does look like it came out in 2011 on a PS3, which is what I'm playing it on. It does not look quite as good. And also like it doesn't have like the moment of like an Uncharted or a Last of Us or like the stuff that Naughty Dog ended up doing with like these gruesome, very serious types of games. So it's just kind of corny to me, but you know, it's what I was saying when I said that Dead Space 2 feels like a game that would come out in the same year as Gears of War 3. Like, the games were just like that at the time, like for big budget AAA games, I think.
Every enemy has to leap out of something. It can't just like walk around a corner. It has to leap out, and there has to be like a huge
shock value,
kick, and just shock value,
like that big
like literally everything
note, you know.
Yeah, the shock scares. And...
Even when it's like a massive wave of them, they're still just gonna like fly out of something. Like it's to the point where it's like, once I started getting back into it and remembering Dead Space, just like walking through a hallway and like see the like canned, like, you know, kind of break it down and like, oh look, there's a vent that clearly I remember these are the necromorph where the necromorphs usually pop out of in this game.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, you just kind of walk around and then whoop, there comes one out of the vent.
It does make you appreciate like how well hidden those things are in games now. Like I think back to like Resident Evil 7, which is like the most recent horror-ish game I played, and like the most unsettling moments are like when you're going down a hallway and like something just turns around and walks down the hallway through the end of the hallway coming at you. Like they're few and far between. They're used well, but like it's just horrifying. It's the worst feeling. But what Dead Space 2 does is like it's a totally different feeling, but it's also very effective. Like when, I don't know if this happened to you because I think it's random, but like you'll start to hear something behind you, and then you'll turn around to see like a necromorph actually creeping up on you, like staying quiet, enclosing itself, and like walking towards you very, very quietly. And like that shit fucks me up in a totally different way.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't encountered that yet. I've definitely encountered like moments where you can like hear them, different spots, and I haven't like actually like turned around, I guess, to look.
It's like I remember playing this game with headphones and being like, oh, fuck, gets under your skin.
Oh, I can imagine. In regards, Mike, to what you said, the necromorphs that pop out of those grates, because I haven't played them before, there've been a couple times where I'm up a set of stairs or whatever, and then I just hear this crashing behind me, and then turn around, and then oh crap, there's one right behind me.
Yeah.
I'm really curious, Scott. Like, how do you feel about like the enemy design? And we can talk about like that across all 5 chapters, because we get to see like the little baby guys with the 3 tentacles toward the end. What did you think of
creepy babies?
Oh yeah, they're super creepy.
Yeah.
But no, I think like I remember back then I saw the previews and things like that, so I had seen the designs, but I think they're really well done. They're very visually horrific to look at. I think they were really well done enemy designs, and there are a bunch of different variations, and you can really, one of the things I appreciate with it is you can see how it, like, I don't know necessarily what causes the necromorphs yet, and I don't know if that's from the first one or if it's just the marker does it or what, but you can you really get the feeling or the seeing of how like the gestation or like the evolution of the necromorphs, like the longer you're possessed or taken over by it, the more grotesque, like the guys with the exploding arms and the babies, things like that.
And I like how they also like all kind of like have their own little visual, or not visual, but like audio cues and stuff too. So like all of them have distinct sounds. So like as soon as you hear that sound, you're like, oh, I know what's coming. And I always really like that, where like those exploding dudes have like a weird like shriek. Yeah. And then like the little like these were new to Dead Space 2, but they had like the little like kid ones that were like basically like swarms of them would come after you, and those had their own little voice like sounds and everything too.
And
very good sound design.
I'm sure we'll talk about it, but like I'm trying to because I don't remember their fucking names, but the raptor guys that you fight in the church, I just call them the raptors, but the ones that charge you are amazing. The stalkers,
Yeah.
that's what they're called. They're some of my favorite enemies in any video game, like as far as monsters.
Yeah,
are
they're
concerned.
very cool.
But yeah.
Those babies remind me of the Titans from Attack on Titan.
Ooh, yeah.
How they kind of like run at you and everything.
All right,
swarm
yeah.
you. It's like those are baby Titans.
What's cool is I'm like looking at the list of
Mm-hmm.
enemies, like the enemy types, because I had to pull up the ones that I was talking about are just stalkers, but we haven't even seen half the enemy types in the game.
Yeah.
which is really cool. It like doles them out
Mhm.
throughout the game.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of enemy types, so we get our handy dandy laser cutter, we get our stasis power and our force kinetic wristbands, and we can be Jedis and everything cool like that. And we get to our first, like, what I would consider the boss fight, which I think is end of chapter 2,
Yes,
where the
that
giant
sounds right.
necromouse
that
pops
sounds
out,
right.
and it's like the first big enemy that you have to contend with.
Mhm.
That I got a very boss vibe from. That was pretty
Yeah, for
cool,
sure.
like having to cut off his specific limbs, and I
Yeah.
wish it was slightly less telegraphed, like what you have to do.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of glowy spots in Dead Space.
yeah, a lot of glowy
it
spots.
reminds me.
Again, you said it was 2011 video game. Like
Yeah,
that was definitely of that era.
I know it didn't come out in 2011, but a game that I feel like this game and Lost Planets took a lot from each other.
Oh,
yeah.
Lost Planet was all the orange.
All
Lost
the
Planet's
orange
my favorite.
spots.
One thing
me
I
that.
will say though,
Give me
playing-
that Tiang.
Yeah, right.
where is Lost Planet, man? I'm surprised
It's
we
gone,
haven't
dude.
gotten some
It's gone. Rest in peace.
something with that.
Capcom's on a roll right now. They can
Yeah, I was
reboot
gonna
Last
say,
Planet.
Capcom's going wild. They could bring it back.
Yeah.
I'd be down for it.
Let's get Devil May Cry 5 out first, and maybe a Dragon's Dogma sequel, and then we'll talk
Okay.
about
and a
Lost
new
Planet.
Onimusha.
Yeah, they're working on
I'm in
Onimusha.
for do Dragon's Dogma for sure. But I just wanted to say real quick that the base gun in Lost Planet 2 or not sorry, Dead Space 2 or in Dead Space just in general, the plasma cutter
Yes,
Mhm.
is still just like one of my favorite guns in a video game.
for sure. 100%.
I've invested all my power nodes into maxing out its damage.
I've been doing the same thing of just like I did purchase like one or two of the other guns by the end of chapter 5 because you do need the other guns, but like that's still like one of my I always upgrade that
Yeah,
to the max first just because I enjoy it so much.
I wanted to, because we get access to 4 weapons in this first 5 chapters. I wanted to try and play around with the other guns. So I got like the one that shoots harpoons or whatever, the spear
The
gun.
javelin launcher.
Yeah, javelin
I got
launcher.
that as well.
I bought that and I was using it a little bit. I'm like, the thing is, I know, because I know how these games work, is like the javelin launcher ammo I'm getting would be plasma cutter ammo if I didn't have this javelin launcher. So I just sold it, and I sold all the ammo, and I'm like, I'm just gonna run with plasma cutter. I did it.
See,
Let's go.
There's a trophy for it in Dead Space 1. I'm ready to do it in Dead Space 2.
that's not. I don't know if it's just with the javelin launcher, but I'm getting ammo for guns that I haven't bought yet.
Yeah, I started getting like line
Yeah.
launcher ammo, and I'm like, shit.
Yeah, it's once you start getting to certain points in the game, and the guns are like become available in the shop.
Mhm.
Like, I think it's gated by like the progression in the game. There's
There's also schematics for some of the guns too.
Yeah, you'll just start finding ammo for that stuff. And another thing I remembered, speaking of like things from 1, I've come to remember or I guess realization of like I don't like that original suit design compared to the Dead Space 2. Like the Dead Space 2 suit that you get is awesome. It's like a really great suit, and like I know that I don't even think we have like somewhat spoilers, but like I think there's like a better versions of even this suit that you get in the game in later chapters.
Yeah.
But you also have like immediate access to the suit from the first game, and I just remember seeing like you get to the shop and seeing that dumb big rectangle block face like as a suit option. I just looked at it and I was just like, I don't want to use this. That looks bad. Like I guess maybe it's just with time it's not gotten
Yeah, I think it's like that.
aged well.
The helmet of the Dead Space 2 suit is just so fucking cool.
Yeah.
I think that's really it. Like, because in Dead Space 1, he has the engineering suit, which then like over the upgrades for the suit in that game are just like more little iron plates to go over like his arms and legs. Whereas like this, the whole suit changes everything. But also he had to like take off his helmet in Dead Space 1. She only does at the very end, and at the very beginning he puts it on. But in this one, it's got like the red Iron Man folding helmet. So like really,
that was really cool.
What else do you need?
Yeah. Those designs are really cool, and I have to say, I absolutely fucking love impaling necromorphs with their own like
claws,
tentacle claw arms.
Yeah,
it is so rewarding to just like kinetic and then just a poof, and they like stuck to the wall and then they like die. It's
the harpoon stuff in this
so good,
so good.
Yeah,
so good.
I just like getting like really good headshots, like seeing the ones that like go frantic and like sprint at you, and just getting like a nicely headshot, and they either like they get speared or their head will pop off, and then it'll just like immediately just like go limp and like in front of you and like kind of like fall their knees and down, and it's like sort of ragdoll-y though.
Yeah, very ragdoll.
There's so much ragdoll in this game. I would say a couple of notes, because if we're going through up to that first boss, I ran out of ammo while fighting the boss. And I ended up punching his leg off with the melee. It's fucking awesome.
Falcon punch.
I like he like throws his arm. I like hit it, and the leg just goes flying to the left. It's like yes, this couldn't have gone better.
Exaggerated physics.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Things or like punching or curb stomping bodies to get items. That's kind of fun.
So
very 2011.
It's very early Havoc engine.
Yeah,
it's very Dark Souls.
Totally.
Yes.
For full disclosure, I don't know if I got like a New Game Plus perk or something. I didn't play it on New Game Plus, but I've finished it on PS3 before. So when I started, I could access the Police Riot suit, which is 25% additional armor and all your weapon slots or item slots unlocked. So I grabbed that. It was like it's $0. I think if you've beaten the game before, you can get that.
Right.
So I am playing with a little bit of a positive handicap, but I am also playing it on hard mode because I want to feel the pain. So that might be why in my stories I talk about running out of ammo a lot, just as a full disclosure.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Because that happened to me a lot. A couple of things that we also kind of passed over. I wrote a really long dumb joke about the fucking engineer vents. I don't know if you guys have spent more than 25 seconds thinking about it and how it doesn't make any sense. I did.
Yep.
Do you want me to read this note?
Yeah,
definitely.
do it.
If it's supposed to be assumed that these weird shafts can be accessed by engineers in this station, and it lets the audience know that Isaac is one if they forgot, but also that lets him do certain things, and he is likely familiar with this place, my only question is, why wasn't his engineer status on the World Wide Web of ventilation shaft passageways of who can go in us completely revoked because he was locked up for an ungodly long amount of time? It's all one continuous thought.
just you found the biggest plot hole in this too, I guess.
It's like, okay, I get it. These are supposed to tell me he's an engineer, but like, why does he still have engineer status? Why is he allowed to just go around the station?
Look, it's a 2011 video game, and they need to put something else in besides just like 8,000 elevators to like load in the next area. There's your answer.
I was laughing like for 20 minutes about it to myself. I
like the engineering areas, but then I tried to like see if I could pull out my weapon or like look around, and when I couldn't, I was like, oh, nothing's gonna jump out at me in here because like I can't punch, I can't pull out my weapon. It's just like, okay, well that removes some of the tenseness of crawling those things. And then I thought it was funny how you get out, you like pull yourself out, and then you're like turn yourself around so your back's facing away. Like that would be a great time for Necromorph to just like right through you.
Yeah. There's a lot of silly stuff like that in here, but I really appreciate some of the ways they do successfully build tension. And the ways they kind of artificially do it are silly, and they're very like old school, but I like for the most part what Dead Space does.
Yeah, they definitely do a good job. It's towards the end of chapter 4, like after I had been playing for a while, I did sort of notice a formulaic pattern to things. Like you would walk a bit and then you'd get contacted by Dana, who, speaking of, we were contacted by this woman who said she could cure us, and we just have to get to where she is, and it's very mysterious, and we have a cool line we can follow. But it's like quiet, nothing going on. Then you'll get to a room where there's like creepy music. And it's like, okay, I'm going to fight things here. You fight things and then you walk a bit. And it just started to feel formulaic. Like I could kind of tell. Same thing could be said with like the Uncharted games. It kind of becomes, okay, I know what's going to happen next.
Like in chapter 5, like right toward the end, because I played it pretty recently, like the 3 freezer rooms, you go through one, you're like, all right, well, nothing happened. Go through the second one, like something's probably gonna happen. And get in the third one, I'm like, cool, something's for sure happening in this room. All right, enemies are attacking me now. I got it. It's coming. Like, but I appreciate it. I think. They use the environments well enough.
It is.
There was in that brief intro, there was at one point a 0G scene, which is also, they're still very good. When you go out in this
those
space.
are handled really well. I was really surprised. It's very easy to maneuver around in the 0G.
0G and the vacuum of space scenes are both hold up really, really well, and I think they're still really effective.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something, Mike?
No, I totally agree that I like the 0G stuff that's always been some of my favorite stuff. Stuff of just how you like immediately enter an area, and like even like which like I don't know if you guys did this a lot in this game, but like blow out windows. And like blow out windows, and then like it'll start that sequence where you like are trying to get sucked out the window and you can shoot it to get out. Like I did that multiple times throughout the early bits of this game.
Yeah.
To get out of places. That's pretty cool.
So I didn't even know that you could do that just like on most windows. So I did the scripted one where you do it and everything happens. And it's like, that was cool. And then I had entered this, I think it was right in the area before the apartments kind of area. And I got out of like the engineering tunnel or like an elevator or something, and it was like this long hallway, and this dude started charging me with some of his buddies. I missed him, and I hit the glass behind him, and the glass broke, and everything, like the chairs, everything that was in that hallway just flew out, and I was like, holy crap, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh my god, I'm flying towards that too. I have to quickly shoot the close button. But I thought that was really cool that it wasn't, that blowing out the glass isn't just a scripted event. That you can do it wherever that kind of glass is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool.
And it's used pretty sparingly too. Like I don't think they lean on it too much. There's a lot of things like that mechanic in this game that just reminds me of Dead Space 3 and how I just get bummed out because like there's when you get to the church, I think right the first time, what's his face? I forget his name. The bad guy, quote unquote. He has like a ship chasing you, and it shoots through the windows.
Yeah, the gunship.
Yeah, it shoots through the windows on the top. And then I remembered during that moment, I was like, "Oh yeah, in Dead Space 3, you have to like actually fight people." and it's not like fighting necromorphs or anything. There's just like cover, and you're ducking in and out of cover and shooting people. I'm like, oh god, Dead Space 3, why? And then there's like the window blowing out scene where it like releases the airlock. Like Dead Space 3 predominantly takes place on a planet, so there's none of that in that game, and it's like, oh fuck, Dead Space 3, why?
Yeah. But before we got to the church and everything, we had to ride a train because we were going to where Dana were sending us. So we get on our train. Totally nothing bad can happen on the train, right? Wrong. We get attacked by another giant necromorph that wants to eat us.
Of course.
So that was kind of cool running from... That was one of the cool kind of 0G
the 0G
where
space.
You have to jump through like that corridor to get to the other end of the train. That was really cool, while avoiding the shit that was flying out of the train compartment.
There is another scene like that. I think it might be in the next chunk of stuff that's like one of my favorite scenes from this game too. So it is something that they do a couple of times, but I feel like There's like they do a lot of set pieces in this game, but they've got something here. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they were onto some shit. So like I'm okay with them kind of really leaning into it.
Yeah, it's like you said. I think there's probably just enough time between some of the Uncharted games and this game to be like 100% them being like, let's kind of make one of those games, or like add stuff like that into this game, and add that subway train and that whole sequence of kind of like it being attacked by the giant monster, and then you like flying between the things, and then it crashes, and then you're like hanging from like a thing and like shooting dudes that are coming at you, and then you gotta like shoot the monster. That whole sequence is super cool. And again, it's like it was one of those things like you said where like you come from like this really quiet scene before where you're like you come up to the train just like, okay, it's a train, great, let me just get on this, and then it just literally goes off the rails.
Yeah,
no pun intended. But
it's like
crazy.
That scene where you're hanging and shooting dudes upside down, like The Last of Us did that scene 2 years after this game, so it's like they were on to some shit, all right? Like they were doing some cool stuff. I think like The Last of Us does it way cooler, and like there's more emotion to it, but you see Dead Space trying stuff that other people also really dug and really liked, and I don't know, it's really cool. It's a good feeling because Dead Space 2 is rad.
Was it also in this train section where you have to outrun the giant thing coming towards you, and then like shoot or use your kinetic powers to like open the door before you can?
That's like right at the end. That's
okay.
That's the end of chapter 4, I believe.
Okay.
When you that's at that point, like there's a glass window, it breaks, you both get sucked out into space, and then you're like on the ship, and it's throwing the explosive barrels at you.
I think that's actually the end of chapter 5.
It might be the end of chapter 5, yeah.
I think that's the end of chapter 5.
That's like right after the big
Spoilers,
twist reveal.
Yeah. But then we get our first taste of the creepy necro babies.
Oh yeah, the kids and the babies. Like there's so many different layers of children in this game. It's horrible.
Yeah, and like that's the one thing of like, since they're already established from the original Dead Space, they don't really have like too great of a setup there. I mean, there is a little bit, I think, for the kids where you're like walking through this kind of like almost like playhouse kind of area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start hearing like children laughing and stuff, because I think there's something more like that in the original Dead Space, specifically for like the babies with the tentacles in their back.
Yeah.
So remember, isn't there like a whole scene where like some nurse is going crazy and she's like in this pen with a bunch of them, and you're like get out of there, what are you doing, lady?
Yeah.
And then she just gets like horribly murdered by like the crazy tentacle babies.
Yeah.
I think that's from the first game.
That sounds like the first game.
You know what works really good against the creepy necro babies?
The line launcher guy?
No, what I do is I shoot a javelin like right when they're going to be running, and then I electrify the area, because its secondary function causes like an electrical area, so they'll just run in and electrocute themselves and poof. So it worked out pretty well.
That's a good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just use the machine gun.
Yeah, the only other gun I'm running with is the machine gun, because I think it's really good for the adolescent kids, like the toddler necromorphs.
Yeah, and like those weird little, which I think they first appear right around when you get to the church too, like the weird little like
parasite
triangle
things, yeah.
like parasite.
Oh yeah, that jump on you.
Yeah,
that jump on enemies and make them stronger too.
Yeah,
it's fucked up.
Like armor, I guess, quote unquote, to them or whatever.
Yeah, they do more damage with those on them, I think, too. And they'll like
I think you're right.
transfer the little parasites to you if they hit you with it, and then you have to shake them off. It's a cool idea of like these support necromorphs. There is like a lot of really ridiculous, overdramatic music in this game, but it works really well.
Yeah,
like it reminds me of like slasher horror movies where like somebody's getting chased. Like a lot of the music, I think, kind of keys into something like that. It's really cool.
Yeah,
totally.
The sound design in general, I think, is really, really strong.
Yeah, it's very quiet a lot of the time, and it works really well.
Yeah, that's what works so well with it is because it's so quiet, they have to emphasize everything else about it. It's like they have to emphasize like all the footsteps and like all of the, like you said, it's very that era where everything has to be. They have to build up a tension for a release, and that release is just like, what can we have jump out at you in every which way and form, which like they generally do very well. Like, cause even when you like, you can kind of see it coming. When it once starts popping off, and there's just like, it's not just like one of them. Because I think that's what's so great about it is like they do it often, so it kind of like you kind of start like getting into a sense of like stuff's gonna pop out here. You don't know to what extent and what level. When sometimes it'll be like just one guy, and you're just like, okay, that's okay. It's just that one thing, and then sometimes it's like, all right, I took one dude out, and then three or four more different dudes come around a corner, and you're just like, oh god, okay, everything changes here.
Yeah,
so I think they handle all that very well.
It's one of those things, like Dead Space is, I would say, different than, so like the next era of horror games that I would say came out after like Dead Space 3 did, which is like the Outlasts and the kind of games like that really make you helpless. And Dead Space, you have to win to like progress in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
It's Call of Duty in that regard.
Yeah.
You have to take out the enemies before you can progress.
And I think like a lot of people were like, Dead Space 1 is very much in the same kind of camp as that. It's just like I think it throws less at you. A lot of people were kind of angry about Dead Space 2 becoming more action heavy and more set piecey, but that never set well with me because I think this game gives you a different kind of stress. Like, just because you have to win, like what it's doing is throwing different enemy combinations at you and making you scramble and forget your surroundings. Like, it is putting pressure on you at all times, and I think that creates a different kind of tension. It's maybe not as like scary, or you don't feel as helpless, but I think it is effective in a totally different way. And I think there aren't a lot of games like Dead Space, weirdly enough, especially 2.
For sure.
I agree with that. There were definitely moments when it's like, oh crap, I'm in a corner and I have like 4 guys charging at me. It's like, okay, I'm gonna try and take out this guy's claw so I can then chuck it at this dude, or I'll kneecap them and cut off their leg so it slows them down. But that pressure definitely is there, and I'm enjoying it. I was expecting less ammo, like more of a Resident Evil style of me being really low on ammo all the time.
Go ahead and bump that difficulty up one more notch, my guy. I'll tell you what.
Maybe next time.
Walk around with 6 shots most of the time. Like, I got this, baby.
Yeah, I'm playing on normal, and I haven't had any. Like, I just have so much plasma cutter ammo and javelin launcher ammo.
It's good about giving you a lot of ammo on normal, but it leaves health and that kind of other stuff is very sparse, I found.
Yeah.
Like health packs and like stasis stuff, so it's like that becomes more essential of like managing that stuff, at least for me.
Yeah, I feel like I get more health packs on a harder difficulty because I'm riding on red pretty much the whole time. So I'm getting like small health packs a lot, but barely any ammo. It's like, this isn't helping.
Speaking of items, I like how they're handled, because they're just like little kind of colored dots, so you can easily miss them. It just fits the environment and kind of the aesthetic of the entire world, that it's not blatantly in your face. Like, here's a health pack, here's some ammo. It's just like a little dot that you could very easily miss, or that could just blend into the environment. So.
Speaking of like the HUD just in general, you kind of mentioned it briefly earlier, Scott, but like that the hold right stick to show the line, the objective line, is so good.
So dope.
It's still so good. Like, I'm surprised more people haven't copied it. Like, I know there's something similar in like Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, and like I've been playing Forza, but that's like a different thing. But like it's like a 3-dimensional orientation. Like, when you're looking at a map and you click in a stick to go back to the default position, I feel like it's not super helpful. But in this, like, you turn and you face like exactly the direction you need to go, and it's like it orients you so well that like other things, I'm surprised, just haven't done something like that. I like it a lot. Still holds up a lot.
the whole idea of removing a HUD and having it all be displayed on your character, on Isaac, so well done.
Yeah,
so well done.
I'm all about like on the character HUDs. I think that shit's so cool.
Yeah, I think just in general, like in line with that, I forgot how good this game is with like environmental like storytelling and stuff of like walking around and like walking into like a room and see like, you know, when you first enter those apartment areas and you see like that lady like being like pulled away from her house and like, no, I gotta save my mother, and you walk in, you know, like horrible, like almost like satanic like pentagrams everywhere.
Yeah,
and you're just like, whoa, that lady was crazy, and then
this got fucked up.
There's like a necromorph crawling on the ground trying to vomit acid on you.
Yeah,
there's just like a whole ton of that like everywhere where you'll like definitely like once you get to that into chapter 4 into that church, there's like a lot of stuff there of, you know, like the weird kind of hallway full of like, here's the history of like the marker and like how it's like taking us into like unitologist stuff, and like we're taking you to like the good, it's all good, you know, and then but then at the same time you like walk into the next area and it's just like horrific, you know, body grotesque monsters trying to murder you and like blood and pentagrams everywhere. And
I'll say this because I think the environmental storytelling is really good in Dead Space. It's really cool, but it's every time you're like remember like those ragdoll physics that are present.
Right.
Anytime like you just see like, oh, here are these dead bodies in front of these candles that are lit up, and then the body starts like wiggling around when you like walking around it, and then
just like kind of nudge it with your foot, and then it just kind of like rolls up a wall or
but
something.
then
you're just like, oh, all right.
You could just stomp on it, and all of its limbs explode off, and it's shooting blood everywhere, and you're like, this is kind of fucked up.
And Isaac just every time Isaac just makes like the most guttural yell he can imaginable. Just smash. It's just like a box in the ground. It's like smashing open this box. And it's like, whoa.
He hates boxes, man.
Dude, he's got some fury built up deep inside.
I mean, he's been through a lot of shit, so
he's fucked up. Like, let's be real.
It always just kind of makes me laugh every time.
It's
just
it's
every time
so funny.
Smash open a box to get this, like, you know, some plasma cutter ammo.
Or you punch like a body and it's like head just flies across the room.
Oh god, it's awesome. It's so dumb and great. Like it does work against some of the stuff that like they're trying to do with like the environment and stuff, but I don't know, it's kind of just charming to me.
Yeah.
But we go through basically we go through a bunch of stuff. We go through like this abandoned, assaulted apartment complex on our way to a church because the church we mentioned, because Dana is held up in a safe room at the church, and that's where we're trying to get to, so she can cure us of our crazies. So nothing really crazy happened in the apartments from what I remember. It was a cool area. I like that it alluded to kind of like the children, like you were mentioning, like you had like children's bedrooms, and you had some families that were still like held up in their houses. I remember one guy screaming out of the store, "I don't care what your security clearance is, I'm not leaving." And that was cool.
I think like they really do push you. Like the Church of Unitology is like the first big area, I feel like, because you get to unlock shortcuts and doors, and you can kind of walk around a bit more freely. So I think that was like the first area that's really memorable for me. But I don't know. I like it moves at a good clip. In addition to everything being absurd, so like I think it works.
Yeah.
And then obviously you get the payoff at the end of the church scene. Like it starts with the gunship shooting through the windows, and then it ends with the raptor guys attacking, the stalkers attacking you in that whole arena fight scene where those gates come up, and you're like, oh fuck.
Yep, something's about to come down.
Yeah.
You just start hearing like footsteps and skittering.
They're just like the creepiest enemies.
You're just like, whoa, something's in here with me.
Yeah. The like the door you're going to just suddenly gets like ripped to shreds, and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, something's coming.
Yeah.
Those stalkers, I thought they had a cool design, but maybe the AI just could be better. But literally I just sat back as they ran one at a time to me because a few of them got caught on the walls. So one would come at me, I would like just kneecap them and then kill them, and then maybe 30 seconds later, the next one would unhinge itself from one of the walls because there's all those partitions and stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
So they would come charging at me. So
I'll say like that first stalker encounter is like very much introductory to some of the things they can do, but they have surprises left for you, Scott.
Okay, cool. Cool.
They can like they introduce new abilities for the creatures later on, and it's like, oh god, why would you do this to me?
Oh, cool.
And like, what's cool is each of the stalker encounters in this game are very well constructed environments. So like the later ones, I think will definitely scratch that itch. They'll be more challenging for you.
Sweet.
Yeah, you get to that twist of Dana being like, oh, I'm actually part of the Church of Scientology, like right when you go through that door, all this bullshit, and it's like, all right, it's like her like having her back to you and like talking to like, oh, you don't know anything, Isaac. It's like, oh, this is so fucking corny. I love it.
Like, oh god, she's a crazy church lady.
She's a crazy church lady.
I'm curious.
Wanted to use him to.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, she was like, she wanted to use him to basically make more markers. That's what it was, right? That's the whole gist of it. Because I guess since he had been, because that's when they threw the twist out. Which I don't remember if this twist was in the original game, and I don't even think it was a thing. But she was saying she was implying that Isaac created like the original marker from the first Dead Space or something.
I believe she was saying that he created the marker that was on Titan Station.
Okay.
He's like, you created the one here, I think is what she said. I could be wrong.
Something like that. She definitely said he created one of them.
I'm curious.
I don't remember that being a thing.
I'm curious. What do you think's happening, Scott? I just want to know.
I think like these alien relics are just totally like a similar. It reminds me. I'm getting a very Reaper-ish vibe or like Geth vibe.
Yes, that's a good
Mass
vibe
Effect.
to get. Yeah,
like that's the vibe I'm getting. Like alien artifacts are transforming normal people into crazy killing machines or killing mutants. I think that's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
That's pretty much it. I think that covers it. Like the whole what Dead Space 1 was about was like this one marker that they found on this planet. Like the Ishimura is like a mining ship, so they were mining a planet and they found a marker there. But
what color was it?
It's black with red spirals on it, red writing on it.
Oh man, that sounds like a really cool marker I could draw with.
Yeah, it leaves a good stain on it. But so like for your point of reference, just because this was something explained in the first one, the marker sends out a pulse in like a certain radius around it. I think it depends on how big the marker is. The area within that pulse is called the dead space, and if someone dies in that space, they can come back as a necromancer or necromorph, not a necromancer. That's a different thing.
That'd be cool though.
So like that's what the dead space is. I like it. The science of Dead Space is I think cool, and I think some of the like the deep space mining shit that they get into is really great. And like the kind of culture of everything of like they've mined it. There's only humans in this universe. They mined out Titan, and like they have a station there. But it's like, well, what does the marker really do though? Like it's like, well, is it just magic? Is it just a magic barrier that makes people come back from the dead? I feel like they never get too into it, but I guess it is just kind of assumed it's kind of just magic.
Space magic.
It's just space magic.
Yeah, it's some creepy space stuff.
It's like the setting and the backdrop story of Dead Space is always so much more interesting like than the story that they're trying to tell in the cutscenes of the game. But I think there's payoff here in Dead Space 2. So I don't know how well you remember it, Mike. But I'm excited for you guys to see it, or at least you, Scott, because you've never seen it before.
I'm definitely enjoying my time with it so far. Were there also like there was a Dead Space comic series as well, correct?
Yeah, they had an animated movie that was like a prequel to the first Dead Space. So like what happened on the Ishimura just before Isaac got there. They had a comic series. They had multiple comic series, I think.
Yeah, I want to say like the comic was like a through line between 1 and 2.
It might have been. I think it might have actually been about Strauss, like the other addled character that you're talking to.
I was trying to. I was going to ask that.
Or is it 5 or 15?
I don't know. 15 maybe?
I don't remember.
But he's the one. I'm anxious to see what they do with him.
Mm-hmm.
And what that story's all about.
He wasn't from the first game, was he, Alex?
No.
Do you remember?
He's a new
he was
character.
just introduced in this. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember like when he first appeared, and I was like, was this? Because like when you first see him in like the very beginning, you're still in like the straitjacket, and you like walk up to that television, or like the
recording,
cyber hologram television, and you see him being like interrogated. And I couldn't remember. I was like, was this dude from the first game too? Like I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it's funny, cool, because like when I started playing, it all kind of started coming back to me of like the big story twist that happened at the end of this game, and it's like I had forgotten about all like the little allusions they make to it in some of the dialogue early on in that game. But yeah, it's really cool to kind of see how well the structure of the game is of like hinting at you what's coming and what you're gonna see. Yeah, I think there are no returning characters from Dead Space 1 except for like Nicole, kind of.
Right.
Because
screamy ghost form.
Yeah, it was very much in the era of EA. Was like they took this big risk on all these franchises like Mirror's Edge and Dead Space, and they were like, yeah, but like if we make a sequel, are people gonna know like what's going on, or like can they jump in at number 2 and still have a good time? Can we get more people into this franchise? Let's like the whole intro of Dead Space 2 is like so in that kind of design philosophy.
Right.
Also, fun fact: when I booted up Dead Space 2, it's like, would you like to download the online pass for the for the Dead Space 2 multiplayer mode that I forgot about, and 2, oh my god, online pass.
Yeah,
I forgot about the whole installing trophies thing.
Yep.
It's like, oh yeah, they had to install the trophies.
Yes, and it takes a long time, and you're like, why is this like this?
I have to say, one of the things that I'm most interested to see what they do with, or the reasoning behind, is the blocking of the memories. Like why they had to kind of wipe the memories or keep them medicated so they wouldn't remember things. I'm curious what they're going to do with that and how that's going to play out. Like what real effect their memories have on what's going on. So I'm curious about that.
I'm excited for you to find out. It's fucking buck wild. Dead Space is so weird. Like, I don't know if you're having the same feeling, Mike, of like, man, these games are way weirder than I thought they were.
Yeah. No, for sure.
It's awesome though.
Like I said, it ramps up in a way and just kind of goes, and that's what I really like about it. Of like you said, it just kind of throws everything that somebody that's jumping in from the original Dead Space would know. So like, they just know that like, hey, we can just kind of give them all this stuff and just let them go, and now it just like moves so quickly. You think about like a lot of games now where maybe not. I haven't played Odyssey, but I would say even in Origins, like them giving you the hidden blade, like things that like have been quintessential to like every game in our previous series will take you like upwards of like 3 or 4 hours to finally get again.
Yeah.
This game, it's like you have the base plasma cutter and like the stasis and the like the base abilities you had from Dead Space 1 and 2, like within like probably not even like 5 or 10 minutes of starting that game.
Yeah.
It felt like
it feels like it for sure. It's probably the first hour or so, but it throws everything at you and then like pats you on the ass and sends you out the front door. It's like, go on, have fun. It's weird because I am playing Odyssey, and boy, it doesn't do that. And like the item of that story that has like been something that they showed off in all of like the previews and stuff, like I haven't even gotten. I've played it for like 6 hours.
Nice.
And not that I'm complaining, they're doing a different thing, but it's like something that reminds me a lot of what Dead Space 2 does is like Breath of the Wild, which is really funny just for that franchise and from Nintendo, especially considering this game came out in the same year as Skyward Sword, but like that game gives you all the tools that you have for the forever in that game in the first couple hours, and then sends you off and it's like, do what the fuck ever, I don't care.
Then as a play box, it's just like a sandbox you can do whatever with.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
It's a cool, I think it is like a really cool design idea of like set the player up with all the tools very early on, just so that way you can evolve on how they use them throughout the game. I feel like not a lot of video games do it, and I think it's really cool that Dead Space 2 did do it.
Yeah, I think it gives the player the ability to have like play around more, and just seeing what crazy stuff they can do with the tools you're given. And that's one of the same thing with Metroid games or later Castlevania games, things like that, having to recoup your losses from the very beginning and being able to do it like right away and have all those things like your laser cutter and your kinesis or stasis and kinetic abilities. I've really enjoyed it. I don't use my stasis all that much, but the kinetic, like chucking spears or the chucking claws into dudes, I use that a lot when I can. In the plasma cutter, like you guys were saying, is just so good. The sound of it, the feel of it, being able to change it from being vertical or horizontally aligned to be better at cutting off body parts. Very, very cool.
I'll say this about stasis: you might not use it now, but you will. You'll fucking need it.
I found I generally use it for like very specific enemies.
Yeah.
Or for like there's like a random puzzle, an environment puzzle that's like
that
they're like you have to use this now to move on, but obviously you're gonna use it there. But
yeah, I'm using it way more
it.
than I remember using it. So it's like, again, I'm playing on hard mode, so that does help.
Right.
Like sometimes you just need a second, like one fucking second, please. I have not breathed since I started this game. And there are specific enemy types that demand stasis.
Good to know.
And they're very cool. Like I'm mostly in the same boat, Mike. I'll only use it on the specific guys, like the 3-legged guys or the 2-legged guys with the scorpion tail.
Yeah, that's the dudes I usually use it on.
But it's definitely like when things get a little too hectic, it has that AoE where it can grab a couple enemies and just like create a blockade of slowed down enemies so you can reload or heal yourself or something. So
very cool.
Are you enjoying Dead Space so far, Scott?
I am.
Awesome.
I'm very much enjoying it. It still feels very solid. It plays very solid.
It plays super well.
It was a well-designed game.
Yeah.
Like some of the things we mentioned, kind of corny, they don't mesh completely well together, but overall it's been a very fun process. It's been a very fun experience so far. Even though I haven't played the first game, there's enough that has been presented to me that I get the idea, and there's enough that's like mysteries, like the memories and the church and what exactly the markers are doing and all that have left me pondering and curious and thinking, I wonder if they're doing that. So
yeah, it's cool. It's a fun mystery.
Having a good time.
One thing I do want to say before we wrap up.
Yeah.
I really love how dark this game is. I feel like I've not played a game in a long time that is like this pitch black. And it might be like, obviously I'm playing on an HDR TV. This game doesn't support HDR, but it does. Like the TV itself does a little bit better, like pure blacks and dark zones. So like the game is just like fucking dark. For the most part, like when it has you adjust the brightness settings for your TV, mine is set all the way to the lowest, and it's like very scary. Nice. There are scenes where all you see is the light on Isaac's helmet and the light on his back, and that's it. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
But I
quickly regret my decision.
Yeah, I love how hard they committed to that. And I think that's modern horror games. Like I think about Outlast specifically, the whole night vision camera, it's doing obviously a very different thing, but it's a game you can kind of see your way through, whereas like there are parts of this where it's so dark and you don't know what's going on around you, and I love that.
Yep.
Very cool. But we find out Dana's a church lady. She gets shot by a gunship. We fly out.
She does get fucking blown apart by that gunship.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
It's awesome. We wouldn't want Isaac to die, and then her arms go flying off.
Yeah, her arms get blasted off. Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
And then our big giant necro friend from the train pops out and tries to kill us, and then we jump through a glass window to grab onto the gunship that was shooting the church people, and then that gets blown up, and then we get hurled away, and then we're
just into some other place, I guess.
Some other building, and
land back into like the we're back in like an apartment complex area.
Mm-hmm.
Isaac shakes it off, and
I save the game and turn it off.
Yeah, and that brings an end to Chapter 5 and our first checkpoint of Dead Space 2. So far, I think the group consensus is that you guys are enjoying it on your like revisiting it. I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. It's
definitely.
It's interesting to see the things that I was worried wouldn't hold up really well, like how it plays mechanically, things like that. And the things that I thought would hold up all right are not holding up, like the kind of villains and the storytelling. But either way, it's still a really great game. Yeah,
and from a first-timer perspective, jumping in 7 years after the game came out, not having played the previous game or any of the games of the series, I think it's definitely holding up well. I'm very much enjoying it. But for next time, we will be playing through to the end of Chapter 10. It's really easy to make these checkpoints when there's like chapters.
Yeah, numbered chapters.
And you can just divide it by 3, and it's
actually the only reason Mike picked this game.
It was one of the positives for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you're playing along with us, feel free to play up through the end, should you choose. But we'll only be talking up through the end of Chapter 10 for next time. But we hope you enjoyed this first taste, this first checkpoint of Dead Space 2. I know we all did. So everyone, Mike, Alex, where can everybody find you on the interwebs? You can find Mike on twitch.tv/Irrational Passions every Sunday playing Destiny. What do you think I was going to say?
Dabbing my life away.
Yeah, just
when it was on your Twitch app.
Because I fucked up, but hopefully it'll be archived somewhere.
That slowly dabbing my life away.
Yeah, exactly. Paying the dab toll to have Riven wreck us.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if is Destiny making us pay the dab toll, or are we the ones?
Are we the ones making Destiny pay?
Existential shit right there. Toll.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm listening, Bungie. I'm watching.
Yeah.
But no, Mike, you're on every Friday night. You're playing some October themed games.
Yep. We're in October. Spooky games, scary games. From the day we recorded this, I already did one stream playing some older retro games. That's going to be archived. That should be up on the YouTube, hopefully, by the time you're seeing this. And then maybe that Friday. And then, basically every Friday. The next Friday's coming up, which I don't know, whenever this will come out, I'll be playing like Transference and the Resident Evil remake and Alan Wake and a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, Alan Wake is so
mainly
good.
those. Mainly those. It'll probably be those 3 because I'm probably going to try and do like a full-on playthroughs of them each Friday.
Okay.
One each week. Each Friday, so there'll be a bunch of other Halloween streams like Scott's doing stuff.
Yeah,
or other
some Castlevanias.
Some George Cruz will be doing some stuff as well.
Yeah, he bought stuff so he could do just this.
Yeah,
some good stuff. Some Japanese games too. Some fan translated Japanese games. I know he's going to be playing.
Mm-hmm. Which is super cool. And I'm just playing Destiny and hating myself, so don't worry about me.
Experience.
Go listen to or go watch Irrational Passions podcast every Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. Definitely check that out. And if you really, really like the 3 of our beautiful faces, be sure to check out our podcast, which the 3 of us is on, hosted by Mr. Mike Burgess. Podcast Ultimate, your one-stop shop for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate news, speculation, and character polls. So check that out. Not to be confused with a cross, it's the Smash logo.
Yeah, exactly.
Or an upside down cross, which is even worse.
Or it's like the ball or whatever they call the bad one. I can't believe we didn't talk about.
I like that, the ball.
Ball.
Yeah, I'm calling it the ball from now on.
I like that we didn't talk about Smash Brothers at all. I was really gonna try and bring it up at some point, but I forgot.
You know what?
Yes.
You know what today is? You know what today is?
It's Smash Day.
Literally.
Oh, it's 2 months.
2 months from today, guys. Smash Brothers will be released.
Listen to us speculate much like 4chan, on when the fucking Smash Direct is going to be in October, all month long.
Podcast Ultimate.
Yeah.
It's like 4chan.
It's like 4chan.
Mike, I think you have to add a sub or a little header under Podcast Ultimate on the intro. You know.
Yeah, just it's like 4chan,
Like 4chan.
in big like Comic Sans font.
With
no
Dick
ever,
Butt at the end.
no one's ever gonna watch that podcast again.
Hell yeah.
They'll go out on a high note.
Yeah.
But speaking of going out on a high note, this has been Solid Snake 120. You can find. Well, this has been Scott. You can find me on Twitter at SolidSnake120, on Twitch at twitch.tv/SolidSnake120, or on twitch.tv/Irrational Passions for this month for some good old Game Boy Advance Castlevania goodness with some Symphony of the Night mixed in. And until next time, everybody, stay classy.